Today, we're going to talk about something really fundamental: childbirth. Specifically, we're diving into a different way of looking at it, the midwifery model of care. It's all about reclaiming birth.
Okay, let's just start with this idea right here. Pregnancy is not an illness, and birth is not a medical emergency. This quote, it really gets to the heart of what we're talking about. It completely flips the script on how we often think about birth, doesn't it?
So why even talk about a different approach? Well, to get why this matters, we have to start with this weird and honestly kind of troubling paradox that's happening in American childbirth right now. Think about it. In the US, the default setting for birth is often, well, medical. It's treated like something that needs to be managed, a potential problem that needs a whole lot of intervention to keep it from going wrong.
And here's where it gets really strange. This is the paradox. On one hand, the US has one of the highest rates of medical intervention during birth in the developed world. We're doing more stuff. But on the other hand, our maternal mortality rates are actually going up. It's a huge disconnect. All that intervention isn't making things safer.
So you gotta ask, how is that even possible? How does more medical help lead to worse outcomes? Well, there's a well-documented pattern that researchers call the cascade of interventions. It's like a chain reaction. Let's walk through it.
But before we get into that chain reaction, we need to know what the starting point is supposed to be. And that's something called physiological birth. Basically, it's just the natural way birth happens. You know, when the body is left to do its thing without a bunch of unnecessary interruptions. This is the process that cascade messes with.
Okay, check this out. It's a perfect example of that domino effect. So maybe it starts with something pretty common, like a routine induction. But that can make contractions way more intense, right? So that often leads to asking for an epidural. Okay, but then the epidural can slow labor down. So what happens next? You get synthetic oxytocin to speed it back up. But that can sometimes cause the baby to get distressed, which, you guessed it, raises the chances of needing a C-section. See how one thing just leads to the next, to the next?
All right, so if that's the cascade, what's the alternative? What if we didn't start by thinking of birth as a medical event to be managed? The midwifery model is built on an idea that's actually, radically simple. This chart lays it out so clearly. On one side, you have the conventional model. It's often pathology-focused, meaning it's looking for what might go wrong, and that naturally leads to an intervention-based approach. And hey, for high-risk pregnancies, that's incredibly important. But for low-risk births, the midwifery model offers a totally different philosophy. It's wellness-focused. It sees birth as a normal, healthy process that needs support, not constant intervention.
So what's the big takeaway here? The absolute core of the midwifery model is this: trusting the body. It's a return to this really simple but powerful idea that the body is actually designed to do this.
Okay, but this isn't just about feelings and philosophies, right? What does the data say? Well, there's a ton of evidence out there comparing these two models. Let's get into the numbers. Let's just start with this one number, 32.1%. That is the current C-section rate in the US. That means almost 1 in every 3 births is a major surgery, which comes with its own risks and a much tougher recovery.
Now that number might not mean much on its own, but look at it this way. The World Health Organization says the ideal rate for a country should be somewhere between 10 and 15%. The US rate is more than double the high end of what's recommended. That's a really big difference.
And it's not just about surgery rates. Look at this. A massive Cochrane review, which is like the gold standard for medical evidence, studied over 17,000 women. And the findings were pretty amazing. Women in midwife-led care had fewer preterm births, fewer epidurals, higher breastfeeding rates, and were just happier with their experience. And here's the kicker. All of that came with no increase in bad outcomes for the mom or the baby.
But numbers are just one part of the picture. The experience of birth itself, that's deeply human, and it has these long-lasting effects that you just can't measure with statistics.
I love this quote. A baby is being created, but a mother is being created too. It totally reframes everything, doesn't it? It's not just about growing a baby. It's about this huge transformation a person goes through to become a parent. And the kind of support you get during that time, well, it matters. A lot.
And there's actually a word for this, matrescence. The best way to think about it is like adolescence, but for becoming a mother. It's this massive shift. Hormones, your brain, your whole identity. Your brain literally rewires itself. And when you understand that, it becomes so obvious why the way you're cared for during that transition is just crucial.
So what's the secret to a positive birth experience? Well, research shows again and again, it's not about whether it was painful or what kind of delivery you had. The single biggest thing? It's feeling like you were respected,
like you were informed, and that you were in control of what was happening to your own body.
And that feeling of being in control, that brings us to maybe the most important piece of this whole puzzle: choice. The power of having real options and the knowledge to make your own decisions.
The midwifery model is all about opening up your options. The choice to labor at home or in a birth center, the freedom to move around, to eat and drink if you need to birth in water, and maybe the biggest one of all, to be treated like you are the expert on your own body. Because, well, you are.
So when you put it all together, the data, the human experience, it becomes pretty clear that how we give birth really, really matters. It affects our health, how we step into parenthood, even our sense of who we are. Which leaves us with one final, pretty powerful question to think about. When it comes to one of the biggest moments of your life, who do you want calling the shots?
I stopped trying to find a doctor who would listen, and I did this instead. For years, I was doing everything right. Eating clean, exercising, getting 8 hours of sleep, but I was still exhausted. I had constant brain fog, and my hormones felt completely out of whack. Every doctor told me my labs were normal, and it was probably just stress. I was about to give up until I found Holistic Health. It's a free AI wellness tool trained by functional medicine experts. I spent 5 minutes answering questions about everything: my symptoms, my sleep, my digestion, and it built me this. And this was the light bulb moment. It didn't just give me a list of problems, it connected the dots. It showed me how my gut health was likely impacting my hormones and how that was causing the fatigue and the brain fog. It even gave me a clear list of potential root causes, supplements to research, and even the specific lab tests to ask for. Its tip is secure, over 77,000 people have used it, and it's 100% free to get your blueprint. If you feel like you're not being heard, start here. Understand your body first and then decide your next step.